You know, this is what I do for a living, so if you're looking for something cool, some cool artwork, check me out. Alright? What's going on, folks? I got a new piece of art to share with you here. This is I thought this turned out really cool. This is for some folks that own a charter boat, and the name of the boat's Full Cry. And what that's referring to is when like a hunting dog or a coon dog gets on something really strong and they howl, that's called they're in full cry. So that's why there's a coon dog in here, a blue tick hound. And they had some other specific requests with the skull and and that's their boat and anyway, but let's check that out. I got a video of it here. It's kind of a speedy little thing. So this is when I was figuring out how I was going to do the skeleton on the marlin. It's not completely accurate, but it's close enough to pass for looking real enough. I studied a bunch of photos of how they're put together, and it's pretty interesting. But anyway, so this is me going through and just fleshing it out. I was making sure that I got everything looking in a believable way. Everything needed to look like it goes together. So this is when I was working on getting the water done and figuring out how I was gonna show the movement in the water and figuring out where I was gonna put it behind the main figures there. So that was interesting. I had I always start with a sketch. That's my sketch in the background of my general idea. This is when I was pulling out where I had sketched the water. I was making sure that things weren't overlapping where they shouldn't. And then this is where I started. I always start, most of the time I start with a base color and then work off of that, adding colors just where I need to. In this case, I was using the darker blue as that base. And this is, I was getting the water looking right. Bringing some highlights in there, giving it that really splashy kind of look with a lot of little dots and a lot of little specks. Trying to make it really look like that thing's causing a pretty big stir coming up out of the surface of the water like that. Yeah, and that's looking pretty cool. And then what I did was I came in and I pulled out where I needed the skeleton to overlap. Okay. I handcrafted the lettering that goes across the top of this, and it kind of blends behind the fish and everything, and you'll see all that put together in a minute, but I handcrafted the wording. And this is when I started really making the bones look like bones. Adding the other tones in there. And see, you can still see a good bit of that blue underbase, that blue base color coming through. I'm just it's economy of color usage, I guess you'd say. I'm only using color where I have to get what I need. Now this was doing the dog, and that was a challenge because I didn't have a whole lot of ink, so I was working with what I had. But in the end here, I think the dog really came out nice, really nice. Blue tick hound is an interesting pattern on them. This is where I started adding the highlights. That's a sun behind everything, like in a sunset. So I was using it as my guide to figure out where the sun would hit the edge of everything, and using the different colors to get the different distance, I guess you would say, in the scene from that sun. But yeah, man, that started coming together real good. That's where I planned how I was going to do the sky, was that little light sketch in there. And then I used that as a general guide, and then I went in and just kind of had fun with it. This is like a big dramatic sunset kind of thing. The horizon is curved on purpose, and it's to try to help the fish and everything look more three-dimensional, like it's jumping out. They requested a skull in here, and this was one of the coolest ones I think I've done. I enjoyed doing it. I always tend to study the shape of an actual human skull and things, just to see how the light would play off of it. But it really came together nice. I really enjoyed that. That was a little bit of a challenge, but I like those. Like going in there with that last little bit of color just to. There we go, and that's their charter boat. So I was getting their boat in the scene there, and it's kind of in the midpoint between the fish and everything, and that skull in the background. Adding the colors in the water and the splashes, but I do all this stuff in a very sketchy way, even though I'm doing it all in vector. It's in Illustrator, so it's controllable. I can control the shades of the colors, and everything has clean lines when you get close enough to it. So there we go. Yeah, man, that turned out pretty neat. I was real happy with that. Y'all let me know what you think, man. But I thought it turned out real good. Thanks for spending a minute with me. God bless you. God bless America. Keep on rocking.